What's going on, everybody? Michael here from 3D Print Everything, and today I got a little bit of a different video. We're gonna do a audiophile review, or maybe you could say amateur audiophile review on this amplifier here. So as some of you have seen, if you're following the channel, we 3D print some speaker boxes for one of the side companies I do. So this is our newest design that we're working on. That was a failed print back there, but we're gonna print a second one of these so that we can replace the original older prototypes with some larger 6.5s with some better looking bass ports. And as you can see, I was testing what the coating finish would look like. There was still some print I don't know, aberrations, but this is the back side of the print, so it doesn't really matter. It's the front side that will matter. But anyways, so I know a little bit about speakers, not just from these and not just from these, but I work with a company called Sonofinity. If you're curious how that's spelled, Sonofinity. And I've been working with him on some Audiophile Pro audio subwoofers. So subwoofers that take up literally half this room. Some of them end up weighing 1,100 to 1,800 pounds. Some of the lighter weight ones are in the 400-pound range. So mostly for permanent installation and for large venues, mainly stadiums down to clubs and home theater. But I wanted to bring Bill, the owner, kind of back down to something that might be more reasonable. So we first started with this pod up here that has a 6x9 in the back and the 4-inch in the front, and they sounded great. I printed a set of 4 of those, and they're intended to go up in the corner, but I can't hang them here, so I've just got it kind of placed in the corner. And the 6x9 in the back gives you a really nice surrounding effect when you're standing underneath the speaker. So even though that's not directly facing you and you might be under it, you're still getting a full room of sound standing in or near the corner. And then you can see there's one with the 6x9 there. I don't have that one playing, or that one up there. Those are just turned off. And we used some average junk speakers, obviously Kicker and Infinity, so they're a little mismatched. But we're going all Infinity on these, mostly because of the looks, and they just sound great and they don't break. I've already not blown, but the magnets have reached their limits on the Kickers, but these 6x9s just take the power and handle it. So anyways, back to what I'm talking about. So I had this in my old setup. It was great. We literally did a couple underground raves with it, and everyone raved on it. It was one of the best sounding systems in all of DFW, and that was by some pretty reputable DJs who have played on a lot of systems. And as I moved to the new shop here, I needed a different amp, so I ended up buying this Rockville here, which I will show you. So I bought this Rockville because I was looking for the power handling, because we need about, for the full pod system, we need about 2,000 watts. With the 7,000 peak, I figured that gave me plenty of headroom and would power, you know, potentially a sub, if not at least the whole pod system. And let me tell you, this thing sucks. It sucks in a bunch of different ways. First off, the first one I got, one of the channels was just dead. So I only had one channel to work with out of 2, and I got that returned, put a new one in, got one. No, that's why it says purchase 2 times, because they refunded me on one and I repurchased it because I wanted it. And it just, like, it's got all the issues with amps that until I became a quote-unquote audiophile, I didn't realize were issues. So one, it's not, and 2, we're about to go shave and do some other stuff, and I'm getting my hair cut today, so I don't have it done, but I figured I'd talk to the video for a second. So the biggest issue I have is it creates the most amount of white noise coming out of the speakers when nothing's playing on it that I've ever heard. And if I could quickly swap them, I would, so you can experience it. But everyone, I'm sure, and you can test this with whatever speaker you have. Go to your sound system, if it's, you know, just anything more than coming out of your TV, and turn the volume all the way up, even though there's nothing playing, and listen. Like, is there white noise coming out? Now, if there is, that's interference, and I don't know all the technical terms. This is why I'm going to say I'm a budding audiophile or an inexperienced one. You know, I don't even necessarily give myself the badge of audiophile yet, but I'm definitely learning, and I've listened to lots of sound systems. At least 98% of all clubs in DFW I visited, listened to their system, looked at what speakers they had, talked to the owners or the sound guy about it, and at about at least 60% of those occasions, some of the occasions, we just weren't able to get to the management or sound engineer. But I went out there, boots on the ground, and listened to everything. And then most recently, we went to an audiophile convention where I got to go in and listen to sound systems that were I wouldn't say way over-engineered, because I appreciate it now. But when you can buy an amplifier and subwoofers and speakers for a few hundred, maybe a few $1,000s, to look at a sound system that's meant for your living room with only a few hundred watts capacity to cost tens of thousands up to hundreds of thousands of dollars, it can seem excessive until you really get into the weeds of like why they're charging that much, what it took to build them, and the little things that make those speaker systems better. So I believe I had talked about it briefly, maybe not, on the sound system that we had done. So we brought our subs out to that thing, and we paired with a set of Infugo amplifiers, and forgive me, I'm forgetting the name of the mains, but it was an amazing sound system. Honestly, the best there. And if you totaled up everything that I was listening to there, it was in the range of like, I think $250,000. Now, literally about $150,000 of that cost was the amplifier alone. Now, the amplifier had a lot of engineering in it. It came from Europe. It was from a very passionate designer who cared about literally every single aspect of that amplifier. And, it was floating on diamonds, or not diamonds, sapphires. So he literally had sapphire isolators. I have no idea how much that was as a part of the cost, but I'm assuming $1 to $5K worth of the value alone. So sorry about the shake here. I'm going to try to hold it steady. So I was really impressed. And one of the biggest and most impressive things I had noticed and learned at that show was that amplifiers don't have to produce that white noise. And there's a bunch of different reasons why they do that, but it's 90% in the amplifier. I can tell you that because my cable management here is otherwise poor, unisolated, and we're just using basic speaker cable wired in. The power wires literally touching that. It's touching other power wires for my laptop and other things. And I just kind of have it bastard out. It's not even continuous. We've got two different speaker wires. I've got it spliced together. I've got it on a speaker connection down here. So there's a Y. This is not an audiophile wiring setup. It is embarrassing to say the least, but this is just a work in progress. I will be finishing this room out and putting another pair on the other side of the room and figuring out a way to hang the quad pod up there. So when we came out, I wanted just a little bit more punch from the mains and those pods there. So we came up with this to get a bit more mid-range bass, put it in the center, and it just completed this system. This was the defining point that, like, at the time I didn't know how to appreciate how good the system sounded, and this was on a Behringer amp at the time. But yeah, like, and this was something that, like, as Bill, the owner of Sound Affinity, said, one of the know if a sound system is good, especially once you've heard a bunch of sound systems and you can point out things you don't like, is if you enjoy sitting there listening to music through it. So a quote I saw online was, "Audiophiles don't use their equipment to listen to music. They use music to listen to their equipment." So we're all engineers at the end of the day, I would say, in the audiophile scene. We really appreciate music and clean sounding music, but we like it so much that we end up over obsessing over our equipment itself, and then trying out all the different types of equipment and listening to everything so that we can get that purest experience. The graph of, like, how much do you care about music versus how much do you care about high quality equipment, is very close, if not the equipment being a little bit more, because the equipment, like, without that equipment, the music does not sound the same. There's notes you won't hear. There's bass notes that will get missed. There's highs that will be muddied or just complete lulls in the graph curve. And having the ability to have a song or two or five that you really know well, that you've heard on hundreds of different speaker systems and sound systems and amplifiers, you can really start to tune your ears to hear those different points. And yeah, sorry, I just got to give a lot of preface for the people that don't know any better. So I guess in the beginning I can say I should have said skip to 10 if you want just the 10 minutes in to get the audiophile review. But Bill was looking for an amp for these speakers. So these monitor speakers that we're going to have that you can put, for your TV or for your computer. They have a power handling RMS of like 170 watts. So pretty decent, and then a peak of like double that. I'm really sorry, I'm switching hands so that I can mouse here. But when I bought this, it not only played noise, not only came broken, but when a good bass note hits, so you have your highs playing here, and then you get like a bassy note, and the highs are having to be pulled back. So it's limiting the amount of output power to control it. And I'm not going to be using the exact right terms here, but there's some type of power handling that's going on that you notice. So you're listening to a song, and then all of a sudden it's 6 dB quieter when the bass note hits, and then the bass note goes away, and then it gets louder again. And you can hear this constant, quieter, louder, quieter, louder, quieter, louder. And if you try to turn it up to mitigate that, because you want to listen to it at that one volume, it just gets really bright and really loud at those high points. And when a song, gets a little quiet, you hear that static. And it's atrocious. I hate it. So this amplifier surprised me so much. And as you can see, I've got this thing turned up all the way. And just to prove that, I will just very quickly, you can hear it's on. And there is nothing coming out of the speakers. Absolutely nothing that I can audibly hear. So the sound floor is, from my understanding is the right term there, the sound floor is really, really low. So it's not letting noise from EMF and all that other stuff inside the amplifier and the power that's going to it, going through your speaker wires and into the speakers. And, I've seen a lot of very expensive speaker cables, and to know that my speaker cables are just really bastardized here, that they're not making noise like I used to hear, like literally a very loud it's such a treat. Like it's no longer in the background of my room, because I generally will just pause this, answer phone calls, get on Discord and talk to my manager. That's phenomenal. Now two, this is not a high output system. This is 60 watts per channel at 8 ohms and 120 at 4 ohms. And I can tell you right now, I don't remember the exact ohmage of this box, but like this box alone, I think ohms down to like 8 or something. I'd have to interview Bill again to get the exact way, but we wired it up so that one of these cables is going to the positive, the negative's going to the positive, the positive's going to the negative, and it bounces back around and then comes out like that. So it's all run in, I think that's series. So it's run together like that, and that got the ohmage down because you add it up once you add, so many speakers. So I don't know the technical data on that, but all of that is very important, and that's why this wasn't just a thrown together box that is some BS that I decided to put together in Tinkercad. Like, the air volume is very specific here. The speaker choice was understood, and the decision on how to wire it and all of that stuff was done by Bill, the owner of Sound Infinity, and a true expert in audiophile. And he found this amp and recommended we buy it, because we were looking at some other amps that could be built in and stuff like that. But I specifically, for these, if I want to make them viable to everyone, wanted a kind of a streaming amp, an amp that has, I think it'll be on here so I don't have to go back and forth, an amp that has multiple ways to connect to it. Let's see, where's the back of the amp? Oh, come on, I know you have a photo of it. There it is. Okay, so we can do speaker cables right here. This is an amp and a DAC in one. You can do speaker out. You can do a subwoofer out. You can do line in, HDMI, ARC, or fiber. And then you can also Bluetooth and Wi-Fi with it. I hadn't quite figured out how to do the Wi-Fi yet, but it is awesome. And then it also even has an app, so you can do some DSP through the app, which is fantastic. It has a remote, it's got Alexa built in, it's got just like everything I wanted and more as far as the features go. And I was otherwise like, man, like when I bought it, I was like, I wish they had more output. I really did. But let me tell you, if me just turning it on and off wasn't proof alone that this thing has the capabilities, the only difference I can say is I can tell that this amp can make the speakers go a little bit louder than what this one can do. And when I say a little bit, I mean maybe 3 dB louder, but not that much. This thing pushes, we bought this for 2 of these. I'm gonna do left and right channel with this, and that amplifier is powering 4 6x9s in that box on one channel, 2 6x9s in this box, and 2 more 4-inch speakers. Like, it's handling way more power than what I expected. And let me just show you. I'll show you, what these speakers. These are the Kappas. These speakers can really put out, can really handle some power, and they get quite loud. But what is the power handling of these? I think it's like, man, I got a box up there. Oh, the box is up here. Because I've got a couple extra sets up here. So 120 RMS and 360 peak. So just that's per speaker. So I could have one speaker, and if it's at 4 ohms and the other speaker's at 4 ohms, that's already at the theoretical limit of what they're advertising this amp to do. Now I'd be curious to actually look up what the maybe not look up, but test what the actual output of this thing is. But it is absolutely fantastic. It gets like cranked all the way up. It is as loud as a club needs to be, and it's crystal clear. No distortion, no issues, no power handling issues when the bass hits, the music goes down, no stuff through the speakers. And we're gonna put a set of these on those, so that'll look real clean. And I might even put them on the amp too, just for fun. But let me go back here. This thing, I just cannot express enough how super impressed I am. Not only with the size. I mean, look, it's a quarter of the size of this thing. Now it's a rack amplifier, and on the inside it's taken up about, maybe 60-70% of the room there. You could definitely condense that, and you have, the more pro audio speaker connections there. So I wouldn't say necessarily buy this for anything pro audio or stage, but for home audio or for small club audio, maybe you're just running a couple of speakers and you want them to be really nice in your bar or club, but you're not necessarily putting on a stage for people that needs more than like 4 to 8 speakers. This is fantastic. And they have some amplifier dedicated ones with a DAC, so that you can have multiple amps and then a DAC that would manage all those, and you can do 5.1 and other stuff. So you can really take this far if you want. But for the price, it was, now this was on sale when I bought it. I think it was only $310 when I bought it a couple of days ago. And this is $299. Even if I bought this on sale at 200 something, this is just a lie and means nothing. And I learned that the hard way. And this, 120 watts, I'm really thinking is just straight up like underselling it. Like, they might be sandbagging the heck out of this thing, but it is fantastic. Like hands down, the highs are crystal clear. They're airy in a good way. The music quality is just absolutely fantastic. Like, it is solidly blown me away at the very noticeable difference from a budding audiophile at how good this amplifier is. And this isn't paid or sponsored by them or anything like that. And if any of you are familiar with my channel, I don't hawk products. I hardly have ever talked good on a product to the point that I recommend it to other people and make a video on it. Yeah, like there's only maybe 2, 3, 5 things, not even 5, maybe like 2, like maybe the King Room printers and the Bamboos I've said are awesome, but like what else have I ever been like, I'm so impressed by this, like I highly recommend it. And if you're an audiophile like me, or you just care about really nice speaker systems, don't let the 60 watts, like this plays like a 2000 watt amp, like it does. It is fantastic. It is loud. It is clear. This is a proper entry-level audiophile amp, in my opinion. And just, I cannot speak highly enough about it. If anybody from this company ends up seeing this, my hat's off to you. You've made a fantastic product that I am just truly enjoying every day. This is the first time in quite a while I've been brought to tears by music. And it's because of this amp and just how crystal clear it is. Like, I can't express to you, this, it's on and there's no noise. That's fantastic. That's so good. I'm so happy with just, I mean, you can tell the sound level just in that quick blurb that it's I would have to yell at you in order to get you to hear me if you're standing next to me and I had these speakers at full volume. Now I'm partially just really stress testing this thing. So I'm going to play this thing max volume, loud as it'll go. The bass, the damn 6x9s are going to be flexing. Like it is, I felt it. It did warm up a little bit. It's cool now because I just got to the shop. But we're gonna heat that thing up, and I'm gonna see if I can break it. The goal is not to break it. The goal is to make sure that, like, if I wanted to run this for 6 hours straight at a club, I could. Not that I probably would, but like, again, I'm just blown away, and I wanted to make a video on it. So sorry, this is one of the longer videos I've had, but audio is a passion project of mine. It's a passion of mine. It's probably right up there as like the number one passion thing I have going right now. I used to be super into cars. I still really like cars and I'm into them, but it's a whole lot more expensive to make a super impressive car than it is to have a really good sound system from a DIY aspect. Now, maybe some of you are going to go back and forth, and it depends on your opinion of impressive, but when you're talking about a luxury car that is modified or custom built, you're going to be hard pressed to get anything cool under $10, $20, $100,000. There's definitely some out there that are old or this or that I'm not here to argue about the car stuff. Like, I'm just saying that, like, for just shy of $400, if you're building a sound system or you just want to upgrade the quality of the speakers you got, this is an amp that I super, super highly recommend and am really impressed with it. And don't get me wrong, like, when I start pricing this system out, like, if you wanted to buy all 4 of these a pod system where it's one center, 4 corners, and an amplifier, I think right now what I would do is the DAC and then probably 2 or 3 amps to handle it at the max volume. It probably only needs 2, one for the center and one for the 4, and then the DAC. So it really starts to add up because this is 4 kilograms of filament, those are 3 kilograms of filament, and they're days and days of printing. If I was going to charge by the printing alone, these boxes would be like $5K. If I'm not charging by the printing alone and I'm just charging by the price of filament and the price of speakers and the amplifier and the speaker wire, speaker wire is inconsequential, but all of that stuff, this is still a system I need to retail for like minimum, I think, $3 to $5K. And that's, when you start talking about spending used car money on a sound system, you got to have some disposable income for it. And I've definitely invested a lot of money into the sound system, into sound R&D, more than I ever thought I would looking back on it, because I used to buy a $200 to $500 amp and a $200 to $500 sub box that was pre-built, and I even hand-built some of my own and had no idea like what I was doing necessarily, and put a dumb little port in it. None of it was engineered. And it sounded great for what I knew back then, but now that I'm on this audiophile bend, like it's rarer and rarer that I hear something I'm impressed with, and now instead of just hearing stuff and objectively being like, oh yeah, that's loud so it must be good, or oh, like the speakers aren't blown so it sounds clear, I can actually tell a lot of the differences. I can tell when, the bass rolls off at 30 or 40 hertz, because, I'm mostly subwoofer audiophile trained. But, for these being car speakers, to put them in a club or a home audio system is kind of like taboo as hell. So I'm sure I'll get judgment from any pure audiophiles if you haven't already gone to the comments to be like, why are you using 6x9s in something you're listening to in your house? The 6x9s just provide a little bit more punch. And we will be doing some subwoofers to pair with this. My goal, actually, I literally have it pulled up to start the printing process. But we've got this is a box for a 6.5, which I probably shouldn't be showing the inside, so I'm not going to show too much more. But those will fit on that printer there, and we're going to start printing that soon. And goddamn, like, this is a lot of filament. This is a lot of work. I could build this out of wood a whole lot faster. But, there's just certain things you can't build out of wood here, and that's kind of why we're going to do it 3D printed. This is really hard to do in wood. This feature and those features are really hard to do in wood. This feature, there's a lot of features that are hard. Like, I can get the outside box, no problem, but to have everything the way that Bill designed it, this was optimized for 3D printing, and yeah, like, anyways, I'm just super impressed. I'll put a link in the description for this amp so that if you do want to buy it on my recommendation, at least I can get a teeny bit of credit from the Amazon link here. But yeah, guys, and there it is right there if you just want to type it in, if I forget to put it in. I greatly appreciate anybody who ends up taking my recommendation as any type of advice to get this. But I just wanted to rant and rave about this for literally 30 minutes now, because that's how much I am impressed on it. I got work to do, so I'm going to get off here. But I know this was an audiophile rant, but this is just a little part of me. So if you're interested in kind of my journey, then thank you for being here. If you made it all the way to the end, maybe let's put in like audiophile in the comments, or just something audio related in the comments, whether it's just a single word, or put audio in the comments. That'll be great. I would greatly appreciate that. It drives traction to the channel and shows engagement. Like, share, subscribe, all the cool stuff. Thank you for listening and being here this long. Sorry I like to rant and rave so much, but it's just truly impressive. I'm going to turn this thing up and listen to music now and get some work done. Melt some plastic and make some money so that I can afford to do this passion project, because I ain't made any money on the audio stuff I've been doing, but I'm hoping one day I'll have it refined enough that someone's like, yeah, I'm going to spend thousands to tens of thousands on the sound system you created, because it impressed me as much as it seems you're impressed by it. So we've definitely had people that are that impressed by our systems. It's just, our systems are generally overkill for any one individual unless you're buying it for a stadium or club. So it's been a lot harder to reach a wider audience, because there's only so many stadium owners versus homeowners versus club owners. So I'm really trying to help bring the company to a point that we can get more knowledge and traction of the brand from having some smaller speakers out there. Anyways, that's my goal. Like, one of my goals alone would be to just have enough money to dedicate 1 to 3 printers to just printing these designs, because I'm having to share my fleet with my time with the audiophiles, and it's taking months just to get out 1 or 2 boxes at a time. And if I actually had maybe 2 to 5K, I'd buy some really nice, at least a pair of nice printers that could print out some of these larger designs and just be dedicated to those alone. So anyways, if you'd like to support that, comment down below, message me, find me on my website, and my email's there, and feel free to reach out if you find anything of what I'm doing interesting. Otherwise, guys, thank you very much. Have a good day. All the cool stuff. Laters.